original.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino. Feel good about yourself, Ryan. You're just a part of the King's Court.
First of two shows today here on the channel. Hey, don't worry. I know yesterday's show, the King's Court, we had some internet issues. I've got it solved. So what I did was I got an AOL 30-day trial overnighted to me. Yes, overnighted. In fact, it was actually like flown on a FedEx plane to get here. So we've got that in the CD-ROM section of the computer, and that's loading up right now. You might hear some manual ding dong pong 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 wireless internet sounds, or manual internet dial-up, whatever you want to call it. And if that should fail, we've got a backup plan. We do have a fresh russet potato out of the pantry. We've already put a straw in it. I think that should get us enough reception to get through the show. So we are good. What's up? Happy Tuesday. It is, I suppose, a Taco Tuesday. Anybody doing tacos today? Anybody in the mood for a little bit of Taco Tuesday?
It's Taco Tuesday!
I would rather call it is...
It's
Terry
Taco
Taylor Tuesday. I love Terry Taylor. Not saying this kid's the next coming, but every year when I cover the Stockton Kings and I watch them closely, I go down, sit on the floor, talk to people in the organization. There's one player usually that I really zoom in on. There's one that I really want to get a beat on. Last year it was Mason Jones. This year, it's Terry Taylor. So very excited that he is getting a 10-day contract with the Kings. We're going to talk about him a little bit. Now, don't expect him to come in and play a ton of minutes and maybe even play at all. But the fact that the Kings are giving him that look, I think a look that is very well-deserved, is very encouraging, because the Kings have some decisions to make. They're going to have to put somebody on the roster as that final 14th spot here in the next couple days. Bobby Marks said by Wednesday. So with Domas going down, is that going to be Isaac Jones? Are they going to go outside the organization? I doubt they go outside the organization. I don't think it will be Scal, but I was wrong before. So remember, your two-way players cannot play in the play-in or the playoffs. So you have to be on a regular roster spot to be able to be eligible to play on those. Also, we're going to talk about a bizarre game last night in Houston. That was a really weird one. Not sure if you heard about the Rockets and the 76ers. Tracy Morgan had a reversal of fortunes, which might bring back some memories for some of you Kings fans. We may or may not get there. And also, our NCAA tournament pool is posted. It is the pinned link on my X page. Join our pool. You can pick for free. We're doing it through ESPN. You have until Thursday, until the first games tip off, to get your entries in. We'll be giving away some prizes throughout, probably have something for the winner as well. So we've got a lot going here on a Tuesday. Grant also going to be back tonight doing his open forum show. I may or may not join him for that one. We will see. So take it any way you want. You can call the show. You can, you know what? I will even allow a little bit of wrestling talk today. I will allow it. I will allow it because of what you saw last night from John Cena.
No. You have lost your time to talk.
What did you guys think about that? Could you take it serious? Did you like it? Did you hate it? By the way, the Kings won. That's top story too. Let's get into it on the other side. Welcome into the Kings court here on If You Don't Like That.
Late nights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away now. Kings in our blood.
Don't make no sense.
I don't know why that keeps popping up. Why does that keep happening? Are you guys hacking my system? What is going on? What's up? What do you want to talk about? The Kings beat the Grizz last night, 132 to 122. Unfortunately, Domantas Sabonis goes down with an ankle sprain. And by the way, if you had one of those exotic prop bets where maybe you put $10,000 on Isaiah Crawford to be over half of a free throw, the feds might be looking for you right now. They might be looking into your bank accounts and your dealings. But credit to him coming in, knocking down a free throw. I know he missed one of them. But what's it mean for the Kings? I can tell you what I think the Kings should do, depending on how the report comes back and the severity of the ankle sprain. It is on the same side as the hamstring, so you do have to worry about that. I believe it's on the same side as the hamstring, right? Left hamstring, I believe. So I take that back. Either way, Domas is dinged up. He also got stitches in the first quarter of that game as well. We are starting to see something come from this bench unit, not necessarily offensive. It's the D bench mob. It's all defense. They got 6 turnovers in 7 possessions in the last 3-4 minutes of the first quarter. That really kind of changed the momentum of the game last night. Nonetheless, Memphis still shoots the 3 ball. Desmond Bane pretty well towards the end. But I think there are a couple keys that we can pull away from this one last night. One of the big, completely divergent, different things about those two teams is the pace that they play at. The Kings 17th in pace coming into last night, and towards the bottom of the NBA after the All-Star break in pace. Memphis number 1 in pace without Ja Morant still. And it seemed like playing at a higher pace benefits this Kings team. So why not keep doing it? And I get that kind of can change because now you're probably not going to have Domas for a certain amount of time. But did Doug Christie possibly find something? We will see. We will talk about it here in a little bit. But happy to have you here. We've got a full show for you. Like I said, call the show. Use the link that's in the chat. You can just click on that and I'll bring you up. You can also scan the QR code that is currently not. Oh, it is on the screen. It's on the other side. All right. You can scan the QR code. That will get you in here as well. In a minute, we're going to talk about TT, Terry Taylor. One of my favorites down in Stockton this year. Really enjoyed watching Terry play. Also, if you remember back to training camp, I mentioned this last night on the postgame show. When the Kings were doing their scrimmages, Mike Brown actually mentioned TT as a guy that kind of stood out to him. Now, there are some limitations size-wise with TT, but he's really versatile. I have some videos that I've taken. They're my videos, so I don't have to worry about this show being taken down from Stockton from the last couple times I've been down there that we will play on the show. I'll give you a little sampling of what his game is like. He is a really good shooter from the corners. The question is, because of his size, can he get it off? The speed, the G League, it's a completely different animal compared to the NBA. But at the very least, he's going to get 10 days to practice with the Kings. Who knows whether he gets thrown into action? Probably doubt it. 'Cause it's going to be the same Scal situation. Scal got in when games were out of hand. But if Doug Christie might be searching for something, who knows? Could be TT. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about the next game coming up, the Cavs and the Kings. The Cavs, the class of the Eastern Conference in rarefied air, one of only a few teams to win 55 of their first 65 games. Kenny Atkinson has done an incredible job with that basketball team. And just the way they're connected, I say it and it's kind of generic, but they truly are on a string. If there's a basketball team that does not waste any movement, it's them. They know where each other are going to be at. It is a clean system, a physical system. Guys know their roles. It's going to be a hell of a task for the Kings tomorrow night without Domantas Sabonis, most likely, although he is listed right now as a game time decision. I find that hard to believe. We'll get into not the halftime show. We've already done that show. We'll get into some more details about last night with the Kings and the Grizz, what we liked, what we didn't like. One good thing about that one is we only saw it wasn't a 7-minute stretch. It was about a 4 to 5 minute stretch in the third quarter. It was about 7 possessions where the Kings started to slow down. They went straight back into that ISO type of basketball, and then they snapped out of it. So that is a plus. The play of Devin Carter, that has been very surprising. Love the aggression by him. So are the Kings finding something? We get to it in a minute. And don't forget our March Madness bracket challenge. We're doing it through ESPN. Go to my Twitter page at Ryan_in_Sacktown. The link is pinned to the top of my profile. You can enter for free. And there's no doing the corn dog thing. Corn dog came in here and he's like, yeah, dude, I'm doing 25 brackets. No, you get one bracket in our contest. One bracket. Corn dog, you don't get 25. You get one shot to see if you can outpick Napes and I. And you know, my best advice to you, if you are going to join and play with us, is don't do it yourself. Like if you have a child, if you have a son, hand it to them. Let them fill it out. Maybe at dinner tonight with your wife or your girlfriend, just start asking her some questions. Hey, do you like Aztecs or Tar Heels more? Do you like it? You'll have a better chance. Trust me. It's how it always works. Us dudes that put all the time and effort into reading these articles, looking at the analytics, we always blow it. And here's the other thing about the tournament. The fact that the talent is so spread out now, you've got really good players at small schools and teams with guys that have played together for multiple years. I think it was Mike Krzyzewski that said it. Even if you've played a team in the regular season that you're going to play again in the tournament, you've never actually played that team because that team is now playing with magic on their side. They are now playing with belief on their side. Any team in the tournament is 5 or 6 games away from a national championship. Take it from this guy, San Diego State guy. I didn't think SDSU was going to make a run to the national championship. They did. Now, granted, the program had been growing and peaking and taking the right steps to move that way. It accelerated for sure, but that could be your school. So let us know if you're going to participate. Would love to hear from you on all that. Kings, lots to talk about. We'll hear from Doug Christie last night, Malik Monk as well, who had a very good game. But let's get to the chat. Let's get some of you involved in this thing. Let me know how the heck your Tuesday's going. I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. I'm going to start with the most recent and then go backwards. Let's see. Cristobal, what's up, my man? I wouldn't mind a competitive loss, but I don't want to see a blowout. Well, again, the Kings MO, play up to your competition and play down to your competition. So maybe you will see a little bit more of a competitive game tomorrow. The difference is when you're playing Cleveland, when you're playing Oklahoma City, that one lull that you go through, that the Kings sometimes go through, that can be the end of the game right there. The Kings don't have the firepower, although they did shoot the 3 ball well last night. I will give them that. They shot it at 48.6%. But typically on most nights, the Kings don't have the firepower to come back on teams. But if they're willing to start playing with some more pace, which is kind of a big ask because you don't have a true point guard on the roster. That's what makes that hard. And without Domantas Sabonis, there's one less guy that you can run the offense through that can bring the ball up at times. So you're going to be relying heavily on Malik. You're going to be relying on Keon. You're going to be relying on Zach, which I don't necessarily love. DeMar DeRozan, great dude, not the quickest dude. Also, really bad about the toes on the line. Man, like if there was ever something that I just would I could change about a player, I would put DeMar's I would have DeMar's feet shrink like half a size so that toe isn't on the line. Happens so much. Houston is a dark horse to win the tournament. You know why? Defense. Defense, defense, defense. That's why SDSU made their run not too long ago. DSC, what you're scared of? I will be the 1 in 9 quintillion to get the bracket right. Well, Cristobal, if you get the bracket right, my man, if you get the bracket right, you better make sure, if you're going to go through the trouble of filling out a bracket, make sure you enter Warren Buffett's bracket challenge because he's the guy that gives away, how much is it? Is it $1 million? Is it I think it's more than $1 million. I think it's $1 billion. If you end up getting every single game right. I don't think it's ever been done. At least it has not been done recently. Sorry, Rhino. I went down. What happened, buddy? No worries. You're good. Let's see. DSC hopping in. You guys are talking to each other. What's up, Kevin? I don't have Roman,
Yeet!
but I can give you a yeet. That is for sure. Let's see. Vivek is hacking you. He might be. You know, I've only met Vivek one time. It was pretty brief, actually. It was at the Western Conference Finals game for the Stockton Kings last season. And I was in the press area, front row, under the hoop. Vivek where he sits. He's always center court. And you got to walk by each other to get to your seat. So if Vivek's coming to his seat, he's got to walk by me. Angeli was with him as well. Said a quick hi to both of them. Nothing super memorable from Vivek. So I doubt that he's hacking me. He hardly remembers me. I bet he threw my card away too. You know what's funny about my card? I don't think I've said this. My old business card has the front with the Kings Court stuff, but because we do so much with the Kings and the Postgame and all that, the back of my business card has the Postgame logo, which is half me, half Grant. So I wonder if Vivek looked at that. Interesting thought there. Cena, always fire on the mic. John Cena sucks. John Cena, dude, he got it. That was the right time to do it, by the way. Do it overseas. That was the right time to do it. TT is a tough buckaroo. I like that. Fans using the buckaroo term, man. Good job. John, you're not doing asparagus tacos. John, in what world does an asparagus taco make sense? And no, I'm not going to give you that don't make no sense. Like, I'm going to give you this, John.
John, what the hell are you doing?
What are you doing? Asparagus tacos? Terry Taylor. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Todd. Cristobal's been in here for a minute. Listening from Yuba City. The Honkers. The yellow and the brown. What's going on in Yuba City these days? Has Yuba City built out? Has it grown more? Do you have more modern shopping centers, new town places? I'm curious. I haven't been to Yuba City since my high school days when we played football and basketball there. But those colors, man, the brown and it's brown and yellow, right? Yeah, brown and yellow. Those are rough. What's up, Big Papa? 10:45. My eyesight's not so good right now. You guys got to bear with me here. Want to make sure that I say hello to everybody and thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. You'll give me credit. I appreciate it. You called out the Sabonis injury prone concern. When did I call out him being injury prone? I don't think Sabonis is injury prone. I do think they rushed him back too quickly. If that's what you're talking about, I probably would have sat him out a little bit longer with that hammy. Because you remember when Ryan Dunn threw him in Phoenix? You remember? He immediately grabbed for that hamstring. What happens is if you are, and I am not saying by any means that this led to Domantas Sabonis' ankle sprain, but it's common that if you are overcompensating for something on your body, your risk of getting hurt goes up somewhere else. So, not saying he's overcompensating, but I do know this. Somebody that I talked to that was at the game last night, as soon as Sabonis came out of the locker room from getting his stitches, he went straight to the bike. Which tells me, sure, you want to stay warm, but that hamstring is still kind of, that's just something. I don't care if it's a grade 1. You're still going to feel that 3 weeks later. I would imagine some of you that are athletes have dealt with a hamstring injury before. It's not comfortable. Exactly. So, the roll, I took a second look at it. What I was worried about is sometimes when you roll like that, if you notice where Domas rolled it, it looks like a lot of the pressure of the roll was on the outside or the outside metatarsals, his toes. It looks like the front of the foot on the right side took a lot of that roll. And when that happens, sometimes you can actually fracture the side of the foot. You can fracture a toe. I know because I did that. So as long as that comes back clean, it's all good. Look, here's the other thing. Sabonis dealt with, and so did Fox. Both of them had sprayed ankles down the stretch last year. So hopefully he's able to pop back. But my plan for Sabonis would be this. I told Grant this offline. I said, if I'm the Kings medical staff, your chances, and hear me out, a lot of you aren't going to like this, but I think it's true because of the Kings schedule. I don't think having Sabonis on the court dramatically changes your odds of winning some of these games. Certainly, you are better with Domantas Sabonis, but I don't think it exponentially changes your odds against the Boston Celtics or against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, what I would do is I would not rush him back. I would give that hamstring some more time to heal. I would get that ankle 100% right. And I would actually wait to bring Domas back until the last 3 games of the season, which are all at home. And then you can put him on a minutes restriction, maybe for game 1. Game 2, maybe you lift the minutes restriction, you give him a little bit more. Game 3, maybe you let him go all the way, and then you let him loose in the play-in game. That's when you let him loose because you got to make sure he's conditioned as well. I just don't think with the way the schedule sets up, with the schedule that Phoenix has as well, there's just no way to me that the Kings are probably going to miss the play-in, regardless of what they do the rest of the way. So certainly something we can keep talking about. Derek, I want Sabonis and Monk to come off the bench. It might sound strange, but having the two off the bench will make a big impact. Derek, walk me through your thought process there. Walk me through that. I'm trying to understand what the impact off the bench, like how much more significant that impact would be versus him starting. This discussion about Malik Monk coming off the bench, here's why I think it's a moot point, and I think it's a dead conversation. It's because you have no other version of a point guard. Malik Monk is the closest thing you have to a point guard in that starting unit. So if you want any type of pace, you've got to have him in the starting lineup. Rhino, should I go to the game against Boston or sell the tickets? I would go, Cristobal. I mean, so here's the thing. I don't get to very many Kings games because I'm obviously working. So I don't know if Boston seems like a team where there's probably a decent amount of transplants from Boston here in Sacramento that want to go to those games and go to those games. So Cristobal, if you have good seats to that game and you think maybe a Boston fan would be buying them and you could get good money, that's up to you. I think you should still go, though. I think it's going to be a good game. Boston's going to want to hammer the Kings, though. And here's another thing, too. Don't forget, the Kings actually play well when they lose somebody. They rally around the guys that are left in the locker room and usually bring it. That's how the Kings beat Boston in Boston. So let's talk a little bit more about last night. We're going to talk about some Terry Taylor here in a minute. STM, I'll give you my tickets. I'm an STM season ticket member. Is that it, Cristobal? Season ticket member? Is that what STM is, I'm guessing? So let's talk about last night. There's your numbers. We'll go over it more in depth, but why don't we listen to Doug Christie? First, hear what he had to say about last night's game. Doug Christie.
That's more us. That's more what we expect as far as the fight. 15 turnovers, still a bit of a work in progress. 35 assists, 41 threes. 26 of those assists came from the starters. Off the bench, Devin, Keon, Jake, spectacular. They all came in and brought the level of physicality, intensity, effort, enthusiasm, all the things that we talk about. So from that standpoint, NBA games are hard to win. So I'm really proud of the way that they approach the game tonight.
Doug, kind of a two-parter. I believe you guys turned them over 12 times in the first half, 9 steals, 4 blocks. Seemed to be really active in the passing lanes, things like that. How good was that to see from the start, like to kind of hit first, like you talk about? Yeah.
A lot of it is, to your point, is what we talk about, what I showed them, and the things like I said that I did when I first took over, and now that we have a team that is our team for the rest of the year, the last iteration, I guess, as we go through the season, to reestablish all those things and to watch them manifest them was pretty exciting for me.
I have a question for all you. Serious question. Before I comment on this, because I really don't remember. As I look at my tally sheet, because I track every single shot. The Kings came out offensively hot. So they made 1, 2, 3, 4. They made 4 of their first 6 field goal attempts. They also got to the free throw line. Then they backed that up with 3 straight buckets as well. Memphis, they were scoring as well. So it felt like more of a pace thing right off the bat. And that's when Valanciunas came in too, because he came in at the 8:54 mark when Domas got his injury to the head and needed stitches. So my question to you is, did you feel that first 6 minutes, that first 7 minutes, that the starters made Memphis feel them first? Let me know in the chat. Doug again.
Know that they felt it as well, and I think our fans did as well. Yeah.
Doug, what do you know about Domas's injury at this point, and just how concerned are you for his well-being?
Yeah, I don't know anything yet. I was running my mouth back there talking, and I haven't been to see him yet, and I will hopefully momentarily, but I have not been updated. So, but I'm hoping. I've had ankles and different things, so I'm hoping for the best, obviously.
Coach, obviously, speed has always been associated with this team and playing with, at a fast pace. But now it kind of seemed like with the new additions, you guys are being more physical. Being physical, is that kind of a new identity that's being taken?
Well, it's what I want and what I expect. There's a level of physicality that you have to have in this league, or you're just not going to survive. The speed aspect of that is more opportunistic when the moment presents itself. Then when I was on TV, I used to say, when you got a Lamborghini, and we had one, that's speed. But you can also advance the ball up the floor. That's speed. And then you can also move and cut in the half court, and that's speed. So we can do 2 of 3 of those. And the third one, which is just putting your pedal to the metal, we can do that opportunistically. And whenever we see that, we can do it, as long as these turnovers don't go crazy on me.
They'll get back to Domas real quick.
Okay, so I actually disagree with that. I don't think it's an I don't think it's something that's selective. I think it's something you have to do all game. You can be quick, you can be fast, you can take the ball out and run it up the court after the other team makes a shot. That's not an opportunistic thing. That should be a trademark thing. That's exactly what the Stockton Kings do. Anybody that's been down to watch Stockton, that's what they do. Mace is so good at that. Quentin Crawford preaches it. And you saw some of that last night. You saw that a lot last night. Malik was doing it. So it's more of, I don't associate playing fast with the turnovers. I associate the turnovers with playing stupid. I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it. The pass that Malik Monk tried to make, which was about a half to 3/4 of a court pass ahead of a guy that did not get there, that went the other way for a dunk, and Doug Christie met him at half court to talk about it. That was stupid. That was coached out. That should be coached out. Those plays don't have to happen if you're playing fast. Those are choices. So I question that a little bit, but I do agree with Doug when it comes to the cutting in the half court and taking care of your opportunities. I'm looking at some of what you guys are putting in the chat, and you guys remember it the same way as I do. It was the bench that came in and made Memphis feel them. 100%. That's how I remembered it as well. You know why? Because I'm looking at the free throws. Okay. Devin Carter got 2 free throws. Trey Lyles got 2 free throws. I'm looking at the steals. They turned them over 6 times in 7 possessions. That was the bench that set that tone. And by the way, this is a hell of a stat. Every Memphis player was negative in the plus-minus column in the first quarter. Every Sacramento Kings player that played was either positive or neutral. So the Kings owned that period. The Kings shot 9 free throws that period, which was really good as well. And it kind of set that tone. Now, the 3-point percentage, still not great. for Memphis. The Kings, though, did shoot it at 40% there in the first half. So good stuff there. We'll keep talking about this game. That's the first quarter that we've hit on. Let's get back to some of the questions in the chat. Mars, what's up, my man? Speak on if the Kings win the first play-in game and lose the second play-in, they miss the playoffs and lose out on a draft pick. Well, Monty McNair has already openly said that the Kings are they are working under the assumption that that pick is gone. They are already working under that assumption and looking at contingencies to possibly get back up into the draft. Now, a lot's being made about this draft, and that's because of Cooper Flagg and a couple of other guys that are at the top, but there's no guarantees that Cooper Flagg is coming out this year. So if that were to happen, if the Kings win the first play-in and lose the second one, I don't think winning the first changes anything. I think it's playoffs or bust. And I think even if you do make the playoffs, you're in for some changes. Quite frankly, I would be surprised if Monty McNair is back as the GM next year. Now, the caveat that I'm going to add on to that is Wes Wilcox, who is the assistant GM. He's been the one who's been handling, and Sam Amick's piece put this out beautifully, a lot of the day-to-day responsibilities in that office as of late. So is there some type of world where Wes Wilcox would be retained as the GM and Doug Christie remains the coach? I don't know. I do know this. Doug can motivate. I think Doug gets it. He certainly understands this city and what makes the fan base go. But I've been a little underwhelmed with Doug's adjustments. I've been underwhelmed with Doug's choices when it comes to mixing things up with rotations and or the starting lineup. And I've been underwhelmed with the X's and the O's. You know, we got to remember this. Pay attention to the defense. Luke Laux was the defensive coordinator for this team. He's no longer here. He took that Florida State job. So pay attention. And since Luke's been gone, remember, you had a 22 3-point performance by the Warriors and then 24 the night after by Phoenix. It was 46 of 82 between those two games, which came out to, I want to say, like 55.7%. So I don't think, though, as I say these things, that it's completely fair to pin it all on Doug Christie, because he didn't choose his staff. You know, you don't know what the situation is with the staff. Remember, Doug was picked from the fourth chair to take over as the interim coach. That doesn't usually happen. So is there hard feelings? What's going on? Who knows? A lot of speculation, but I don't know if I see Doug Christie as the long-term coach of this team. I just don't. Even if they do make the playoffs. I do have to kind of concede to Grant that a lot of those wins that they had, the Kings, when Doug first took over, were against bad teams and injured teams. Now, you still have to handle your business, but true. It is true to a degree. You got to put something into it. DSC says, no, the bench was the squad that opened up the lead. 100% with you. Once Carter entered as the point guard, we started outscoring Memphis and creating turnovers. Well, Devin, for whatever reason, when Devin gets downhill, I love it. I am okay with him with the basketball when he's downhill. But when he's not downhill, that's when I worry. That's where teams are picking him apart and putting him in precarious situations with the ball that makes the Kings offense start in bad spots. But his aggressiveness, him going to punch that ball last night, I love that. And I am not saying that stuff wouldn't have happened if he would have stayed with the team instead of going to Stockton, but there were some clear benefits of him going to Stockton. At the very least, confidence. Confidence is really important. But yes, Devin does look a lot better. We got some emojis, 4 steals from DC. Wolf in the house. What's up, my man? Monk, a few sketchy passes. He's been good for a few of them every single game. All right, we'll continue with the chat. Let's get to the phones, though, really quick. Get our first phone call. Who's it going to be? Drum roll, please. Oh, we got a certified Oos. All right, Oos. I see you. All right, Oos. I have an idea of what you want to talk about. We're going to mix in some Kings, but I do think it's fair play considering what happened last night. All right, Oos. I'll bring you in. Yeet! Adam Uso. What's up, dude?
Word life.
What's up, man?
What up, bro? Nothing. You mentioned John Cena earlier, so I was like, oh, now we're talking. What do you want to hit first? What do you want to talk about? We can talk about WWE. We can talk about Kings. I've been falling asleep the last couple nights, so I haven't finished the games, which might not always be a bad thing considering the.
Did you change your mic up or something? You've got a better depth quality right now. Your sound.
You know, I'm using my radio voice.
That works too.
No, I don't. Maybe I did. I'm always playing with it. Does it sound?
I do.
Better.
Sounds
you
better.
Like it?
Good job.
Go. Thanks. Well, stalemate. What do you want to talk about?
Let's go Kings.
Go Kings. Good to get a win last night. Not at the expense of Domas. That's never fun. No word on how
Not
long
yet.
he's out.
Still waiting on that.
Derek, you mentioned earlier bringing Yeet. What's up, Johnny? You mentioned earlier bringing Domas off the bench, and I know where you're coming from when you say that because, yeah, like last night you guys mentioned how Valanciunas kind of is saving the season, right? And I agree with that. I do love what Valanciunas brings, and I think he's just more of that traditional center that I've been wanting for this team for a long time. And I think in the past I've at least talked about Domas should be a 4. I know he doesn't play that, but he's strong, he's tall, but he doesn't have that defensive presence, and that's what you get with Valanciunas. You just need a big body down low, man. Like we're not playing small ball, but we're kind of just like weak compared to other teams, and you're seeing these trends.
It's
like
swinging
the
other way. You're 100% right. Teams are going too bigs, and that's why it's perplexing to me that we have not seen more experimenting with Valanciunas and Sabonis.
Right. And it's like, okay, well, then we have to move someone to the bench, right? DeMar's not going for that. Levine's not going for that. Keegan,
you can't.
Do you want
He's
him
too
on
good
the
of
bench?
a defender.
I don't think so. Right. So, I think if you had Valanciunas at the 5, Domas at the 4, Keegan at the 3, and then you have some Monk Levine combo, maybe. I mean, DeMar might be the odd man out. Well, do we even see him being here?
Yeah, and I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, but I don't think DeMar DeRozan came here to be part of this thing beginning to break apart. I think he came here to solidify this thing and take it the other way. So I personally, I've not heard anything, but I personally would not be shocked if DeMar DeRozan wanted to be out.
Yeah.
No.
And would you blame him? Absolutely not. So it's like no hard feelings, bud, but like we got to kind of figure out what we're going to do in the offseason moving forward with this team. But I also think DeMar would be great coming off the bench when people have already been in there for 10 minutes, whatever, in a game. Him coming off the bench and he's a little bit older. He's not that old, but I'm sure that plays a factor in how many minutes he's playing every game, and getting into the later quarters of the game. If you could have a fresher DeMar DeRozan, maybe he becomes that Malik
Okay,
Monk
so
that we had a
we've
year
heard
ago.
what Doug Christie said, that he wants the team. I'm going to try to interpret what he's saying about playing fast, be selective when they play fast, but there's 3 different versions. Okay. The number one thing overall is you want people to feel you. Okay. You want people to feel you. You want to bring the physicality. It's a non-negotiable. So here's where I turn to you and I turn to everybody in the chat and saying, knowing that Doug wants a physical team, he wants a team that is going to hang their hat on defense. What really is the best starting 5 for what Doug wants to do? What is it? Put it in the chat. Give me your opinions. What do you think, Adam? What is the best starting 5 according to how Doug wants to play?
I would go Keon, Levine, Murray, Sabonis, Valanciunas.
Keon, Levine, Murray, Sabonis, Valanciunas. Okay. I would go Keon, Monk, Murray, Valanciunas.
I would say Levine.
I know you.
Bring
I'm
that
just
dude off the bench.
we're not talking about personalities. Okay, so hear me out when I say this. Hear me out when I'm saying this. This is not taking into account personalities. It's not taking into account contracts. It's not taking into account anything but basketball. When you look at the pieces this team has, I get Levine would have a good laugh and then probably a blow up if you said, hey, Zach, you're coming off the bench. But the bottom line is the 5 best for what Doug wants to do, if this is the best way this team can play, is Keon, Monk, Murray, Valanciunas, Sabonis. To me.
Yeah.
It's not feasible.
Yeah.
But that's the best you can put out.
Yeah, I think Levine is a better player than Monk, right? But I think Monk just brings, like, who's the leader on this team? We still haven't answered that. Even with the subtraction of Fox, there's no leader.
Well, it's hard to answer because of the turnover, right? There were questions about that. I think that from a follow me standpoint, it's Domantas Sabonis, 100%. But from a vocal standpoint, it's definitely Malik Monk. Vocal and energy, it's him.
Yep. I'm with you, man. Yeah, Monk does seem like the leader of this team, or should be the leader of this team. And, I liked his little, I don't know, it was like an Instagram snippet that I saw of him, and they're like, hey, like, what do you want to say to the Kings fans after this 4-game losing streak? And he's like, just hang in there, keep bringing the energy for us, and yeah, we got you. So I think that was cool. Like, you need people like that. Does he want to go out there and get booed? No one does. But I think he's got enough, like, whatever it is, grit to be like, swallow it and not say, I hate it when you guys do this, but like, keep supporting us, man. Like, and that's what I love about Malik Monk. Like, he is the heart of this team and everything that we do. And I love the guy to death. I think he's just been a great player for us and a leader in the.
I don't disagree. Donald says with bonus and JV. Okay, bonus.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm down with
Donald,
that.
that's Donald. Bonus?
I can't control my horny level.
Come on, man. Bonus? Now, I was alluding to what my nickname was given nickname, not earned nickname through junior high and high school. And it is along those same lines. But I think we can't just do bonus, man. That's a problem. I'm almost more
Shooting one plus the bonus.
I'm almost more comfortable with Saboner than I am bonus.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I would side with
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Ellis. Okay. DSC Ellis, Laravia, Murray, Sabonis, JV are the best defenders. Inserting DDR, sounds like President DeMar DeRozan, or Levine in there instantly creates a need to double. It's a good point. That's a fabulous point. I will give you that, DSC. You do get more attention. Who's been getting doubled more? I think it's been DeMar still more than Zach, although in the last couple games we've seen teams lean a little bit more towards Zach. So,
Mars, some team will see value in DeMar coming
Yeah.
off the bench. Does DeMar see value in DeMar coming off the bench? I think is the question. If he's not going to come off the bench for us, I don't think.
See, that's where I disagree. If he's playing for Oklahoma City and coming off the bench, hell yeah. You're contributing and you're possibly taking a team over the top. Same could be said about like the New York Knicks, hell, even the Cleveland Cavaliers. But coming off the bench, like if I'm going to be coming off the bench, I better be coming off the bench at a really good destination where I'm going to be playing basketball deep into the spring and early into the summer. So, okay, let's clear this up once.
Not a ton of talent. He's got a lot left in the tank.
I think he's got about 2 or 3 years. So that's considered a lot.
Sure.
High level, for sure. No doubt about it. Okay, let's clear this up really quick. I will tell the story so there are no misconceptions about this. Saw somebody put, did you get caught with some? No, that is not what happened. So here's what happened with my nickname. It was always, okay, here's what happened. In football, any of y'all that remember football back in the day, like junior peewees, midgets, junior midgets, youth football, whatever, you always had to tape your last name onto your helmet at tryouts. Okay? You always had to tape your last name on so they knew who you were. And with my last name, I might as well say it, Bohamera, okay? It gets said all these different ways. Bohamera, Bohamera. Like there's all these different ways. And so one of the coaches just said Boner. He's like, Boner. And it stuck. And it stuck for years. Like up until probably my sophomore, junior year of high school, when finally it got cut down to Bo. So anybody that's like close to me in my life or has known me growing up, they don't know me as Ryan. They know me as Bo. But there was a very weird period of time from like late elementary to middle of high school where like after games, parents would come up to me, oh, great game, Boner. Like it was a normal thing. That was what it was called. So yeah,
hey, growing pains.
Yes. So that is how it was adopted.
Richard Milhouse,
a football coach
Bone.
just didn't want to keep trying to say my last name. So that's how it started. Anyways. All right. So what do you want to talk about?
No,
this?
You have lost your time to talk.
It was so brutal yesterday when he was like, oh, you people who have supported me, you're the worst out of all of them. That was awesome. In that zoom in on the one kid when he's like, you, the kid in the
Yes.
front, and that kid was just like,
Yeah.
what? Like, got singled out. I'm loving it, man. And I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Well, sorry, I just dropped something. But what if there's a double cross on John Cena and Cody was in on it the whole time? If you're in a gang, not that I've been in one, but I've seen Scared Straight a time or two. Like, how do they initiate
You got street cred
into
because
a
you've seen
gang?
Scared Straight now.
Yeah, dude, I've seen
All
Scared
right.
Straight, all the iterations of it.
All right.
If you're getting initiated into a gang, what do they do to
They
you?
jump you in.
What's part of that?
Jump you in.
They jump you, right? So you take Elimination Chamber. They jumped Cody Rhodes. They initiated him. Now they're going to turn on Cena. And it's a double cross. And Cody was his champion all along. We just had a roundabout way. So now this is the Cena turn would become the second or third greatest heel turn in the history. Cody being number one. They tricked us the whole time. Haunted Horse taught you about games.
I'm not going there. I'd stop it, Derek. I know exactly where you're going, my man. Derek. I know where Derek is going there.
One of my other favorite things that's ongoing right now. I've always been I've always been a Chad Gable fan. But I love the luchador aspect where he's like, it's not me. And this luchador keeps coming out. What they need to do, what the crowd needs to start doing is cheering the luchador Chad and booing the actual Chad Gable. I think that would bring a whole nother aspect to it.
I think that they're going to try to find a way to incorporate Ray Phoenix into this somehow, but we'll see.
Yeah. And I think that whole like vignette of him in Mexico getting the box and getting the mask out of there, or whatever it was, we don't know, right? I think that was cool. I wish we had more of that. I think they sold it a little short, to be honest, but I'm digging where they're going with that. Karrion Kross, like, it's so cool that we have these guys who are kind of like ancillary pieces starting to pop up a little bit more. You saw Karrion Kross and Dom talking yesterday behind the scenes, and then Dom's like, we should bring in another member again. But oh shoot, who did he mention? It wasn't Karrion
It
Kross.
was what's his name? El Zero Mero.
Penta. Yeah, Penta. Which, whatever. But I do like that Penta versus Braun Breaker matchup that I think we'll see at WrestleMania. I think that's going to be good, and I think that's a good way to get the belt off.
All right. Well, we'll talk more wrestling on Friday. You.
No. You have lost your time to talk.
You have lost your time to talk. Say his
name and he appears.
All right, my man. Be well. Thanks for chiming in.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Peace out.
That's legit Uso. For those that don't know, Adam Uso was brought into the Uso family by none other than Jey Uso. The Kings getting ready, practicing up for tomorrow night. Kings and the Cavaliers. We are still digesting last night's win. We've got a couple of other stories we're going to get to, including the Houston Rockets game, which was nuts. And then also Tracy Morgan. Oh, man. Rough night for Tracy Morgan. But back to Doug Christie after last night's game.
How did you feel you guys responded each time he went out? Both times critical junctures in the game, but you guys actually, while he's out, you expanded on your lead both times.
Yeah, I think that our unit is a tight unit. Like when I listen to them on the bus, when I hear them on the plane, it reminds me a lot of different times that I know that when you hear that type of conversation and joy and communication, it usually translates to the floor. So when one of their brothers go down, I expect nothing less than for all of them to galvanize and stick together. I thought there was a lot of sacrifice and trust in some of the subs. Like, we need something right now. I'm going to take you out. You're going back in. No problem, coach. Do your thing. The subs are rolling. Everyone back up. Let them roll. They're doing their thing. Like, that's a level of trust amongst teammates that I think speaks to when one of their brethren go down, how they respond to that. Yeah. Appreciate it.
So that was Doug Christie. Let's listen to Malik Monk after the game. Again, still think he's the vocal leader of this team and energy leader as well. Jake LaRavia making a push along with Keon Ellis too for that.
Hey, Malik.
What up? What up? What up?
How are you?
I'm all right.
4 of 8 from 3 tonight, 7 assists. Like, those are good numbers for you, especially shooting woes lately. And I know you want to get those assist numbers up. Just how big was that win for you guys?
It was huge. I still had 3 turnovers though. I gotta cut this shit out. But yeah, it was huge for us. It was huge, especially at home with the home crowd. They was loud tonight, and we did that for them.
Malik, we talked yesterday about like starting well and changing your mindset when you're in the certain groups. How did you feel like you fared on that tonight?
I did a pretty good job tonight. I think I did a pretty good job at spacing it out, attacking it at the right time, assisting, passing the ball at the right time. I feel like that was my best game. So I just got to watch the film on this and continue it.
Malik, overall, how do you feel, about getting this win and, stopping that losing streak?
Amazing. Like I said, especially at home, in front of the fans, in front of the SAC. We see the beam when we go home, so it's great.
Guys had 21 points off 18 Memphis turnovers. Felt like Jake and Devin were big enforcing those. What do you think was working for you guys defensively there?
Their energy. Second unit came in and had a crazy energy, man, and we just picked back up off them. And yeah, it was them 2 guys.
Malik, obviously, Domas goes down in this game. Just what did you see there, and what your, how concerned are you for your teammate?
I'm always concerned when my teammate not on the court, man. I really didn't see the play until I looked up, but yeah, it looked pretty bad. But Domas strong. He probably be back sooner than we think.
Malik, kind of following up on that, how'd you feel you guys did once both times that he went out? It seemed like you guys handled it pretty well.
Yep. Yeah, we did. I think we did a great job, especially when he went out at switching up our offense, attacking, kicking it out for threes. We always making the right play tonight, so that felt good.
Seeing Jake, you talked about a minute ago, and just his activity. Obviously, that's his former team. Could you tell that this kind of meant something to him?
Definitely, especially after he got the little Euro dunk. Then he looked at the bench. Yeah, it meant a lot to him. I'm glad we got the win for him too.
And for the things we talked about yesterday in terms of just cleaning up during this skid, like tonight obviously results in a win, but what's maybe the one thing that you are most encouraged about in terms of maybe turning things around?
Our energy. When we came out tonight. I did not know our energy was going to be that great. And like I said, the fans was behind us, and we did it for them tonight.
I've talked about this like at length. If you've been with this show for any amount of time, it's something that I harp on all the time. Sacramento understands good basketball. That's part of what makes this fan base so special, in my opinion. It's not the dunks. It's not the fancy 3-point passes. It's not the behind the back looks. It's the scrappiness. It's the defense. It's the hustle. It's the energy. And I think part of what was missing from the Golden One Center since it opened was all of that. The team had the highest offensive rating in the history of the NBA. Great, but the defense was awful. And anytime you see the Kings come out with energy like we did last night, that fan base, you go to a different level. At least that's the way I see it. That's the way I've experienced it when I've been in the building. And I call it the secret sauce. It is the defense turning into offense. When that happens, it just absolutely changes the flow. And in fact, it almost makes it feel like that building is closing in on you if you're the opponent. That's how it used to be at Arco. It's how it can be at the Golden One Center, but it starts at the defensive end. And arguably, this team has more defensive tools than it has had in the past to be able to deal with it. So, a lot of good stuff there from last night. We can keep talking about the win. We'll get to a few more of your comments. And then I want to talk about Terry Taylor, TT. I love TT. DC is right. Malik is great. Malik wears, somebody said it as well, wears his emotions on his sleeves. And actually, congratulations to Malik for getting his shoe deal. I know this past weekend they had a little launch event, so that was really cool for him with Apex. Yeah, he did good. He's just got to get away from the two things that I would challenge, and Malik doesn't give a crap about what I'm challenging him to, but two things if I was the coaching staff that I'm challenging Malik to. Trying to get away from those one or two turnovers a night that are just head shakers, that are just like Zach LaVine turnovers, where it's just like, what were you thinking? That was not going to get through. And it's not just that it's a bad turnover. Too many times those turnovers come at the worst parts of the game. So if he can get away from that, I think that helps out a lot. And here's the second thing. Just get back to the straight pick and roll. And that's going to be complicated with Domas likely out for some type of time. But Malik was doing a lot of this snake dribbling off of the picks, where he's trying to create an extra advantage. He's trying to draw a foul from behind. When Malik gets straight to his spot off of the picks, which you saw from the start of the night last night, he was getting those floaters in. He was getting to the free throw line. Plays so much better. And when you're doing that, that's what opens up the snake dribble. So I think he's going to be just fine. And remember, his role has changed immensely. When we talked about the De'Aaron Fox trade, and we talked about possibly moving Fox, never in a million years did I think any De'Aaron Fox deal wouldn't include a point guard in it. Like, I never, ever thought a deal would be done that would not bring a point guard here in exchange. And of course, it was done. The Kings didn't get a point guard, which extremely changed the responsibilities for Malik, and it changed the responsibilities for a lot of other guys. DeMar, Zach LaVine coming in, a little bit more on Sabonis. Hell, we've seen Jake LaRavia bringing the basketball up at times. It's not their strength. So, it's a good offseason debate about how much different this team is with a point guard. It's definitely the missing ingredient that the Beam team has needed for the last 3 years, going back to that first trade deadline. But, more time to talk about it in the offseason. Bench came through last night. Ryan, where is the piano? The piano has moved, my man. No more piano. Little man likes to play the piano more than I thought. So it made more sense to get the piano out of the room. Floor is getting some love. Y'all doing some talking in between each other. Love it. All right. So let's talk about Terry Taylor, who got signed to the 10-day contract with the Kings. I am so happy for Terry Taylor to get a 10-day contract, because there's so many other ways the Kings could have gone there. But I want to say this. Terry has earned this opportunity, and I also want to say what I said earlier again. I want to reinforce it. Don't expect to see a ton of Terry Taylor during this stretch. I think he has earned the right to spend 10 days with the main roster. He's not a two-way guy, which tells you how much more he has been working on his game to get that opportunity over some of the other two-way guys. Now, the Kings do have a decision to make, which they're going to have to make rather quickly. They're going to have to elevate somebody. My guess is it's probably Isaac Jones. I would think Isaac is probably the guy that's going to get that 14th roster spot full time, because you're going to need to have another big. You've got Trey Lyles that's banged up. I think Isaac has gotten enough time throughout the season to where it makes the most sense. And athletically speaking, Isaac is probably the most athletic out of those guys. This is not a situation where you bring in Dwight Howard. This is not a situation where you're going outside the building, in my opinion, to fill a backup center role. I think you roll with what you have. But back to Terry Taylor. Every season, when I cover the Stockton Kings and I go down for games and I'm focusing in on certain guys. 2 years ago, it was Kessler Edwards. Although he was on the Kings, he was getting a lot of time down in Stockton. He commonly got assigned to there. And I just thought he would be a part of what the Kings were going to ultimately need to get over the top. And not anything significant, but at least somebody that could come in and play a couple minutes defensively, that had the length, that could step into a role and be ready for it, both mentally and physically. And Kess proved out to do that. Last year, it was Mason Jones. Mason had some decent showings. Mike Brown loved Mason's energy. I love Mason's energy. Everybody loves Mason's energy. If you've been around the guy, you can't help but meet him at that level of energy. Like it's infectious. 100%. So another guy last year that I kept a close eye on was Slauson, Jalen Slauson. And I'm like, okay, well, he's got the freaky athletic part down where he can make the extraordinary play. But what was kind of holding him back was the ordinary play. It was being able to handle the ball, make the right decisions, see the court. Those were the things that ultimately led, in my opinion, to the Kings parting ways with him. Now, fast forward to what we're talking about now. Terry Taylor, a very interesting player to me. He's a 6'4" guy. He's a forward. If you look at his game, he would remind you of a smaller Zion Williamson in terms of just the way he looks, the way he shoots. Not as athletic as Zion, but he's an incredibly smart player. He gets it, and he's always in the right spots. Through this season so far for the Stockton Kings, Terry's had some big games, and he's been a big part of what they have done this season. He's played in 28 games. He started 18 of them. He averages 34.3 points or minutes a game, 17.6 points per game, field goal percentage. He's shooting the field goal percentage at 45.4. More importantly, he's shooting the three at 39.3%. His three-point shot is absolutely pure. He is a very smooth player. He's not overly quick, but he does have a very good first step, and he's very reliable. His basketball IQ is above par. Now, what's the knock on TT? It's his size. It's his ability to mix it up, but he can at times compensate for that lack of size inside. So I went back and I looked at some of the different clips that I've shot this season in Stockton to give you a few examples of what Terry has been able to do and what he can do. Here's the first clip. He doesn't make the shot, but he does end up getting to the free throw line. This was a few weeks back. He's a lefty, so of course I'm partial to him, but he understands the matchups. He understands the floor. And as for his free throw percentage, pretty darn good. Not too bad. Shooting it at 73.8%. He doesn't get there a ton. He's only getting there at 1.5 attempts a game. And that's one of the things I think Stockton's been challenging him to. It's been trying to challenge him to get into a better flow, be a little bit more aggressive, because if I had to say or put him in one category of passive or aggressive, I would put him in the more passive column. But when he is aggressive, he can make it rain. He can do a lot. In fact, watch this clip from just a couple of games ago. Terry ends up taking the ball the entire length. Watch his defense first. It's right in front of me. Comes down in the drop, helps well, ends up running the break, dishes the right play, and gets it to Scal. So good example there. He can bring it up the court, and his court vision, really, really good. I don't have a video that I had a time to clip to show you his 3-point shot, but it's pure. It is so pure. It's beautiful coming off of his hand. It is effortless. It's that lefty three. It has beautiful spin. Defense, pretty damn good as well for Terry. But check out this play too. This was right here in front of me in the corner. Nice little raindrop. So again, against G League competition, but some of the moves that he's making, they're NBA moves. That's what's most important to me. Let me play this one more time. You hear this on TV all the time called the snap drive. It commonly, when I was playing basketball, it's called the sweep. But this play works, and look at how fluid it is for him. One more time. So not a super quick first step, but a very long and decisive first step. And a guy that knows his corners. He can shoot it very, very well. Rest of the stats, 8.6 rebounds per game, 3.4 assists per game. Does not foul a ton, only a foul, 0.8 or 1.8 fouls per game, 1.7 turnovers per game. A guy that Stockton, in fact, he is not number one option for Stockton. I would say that confidently. He is not their number one, yet he still continues to produce. Not too long ago, he had a 34 point game. And I have been very impressed. In fact, two or three times ago when I was in Stockton, I got the opportunity to talk with Gabriel Harris, their GM, and I was asking him about Terry and what they're working on with him and what they're looking for. And they've got big plans for him. And so the fact that he is getting this 10-day contract, and again, not the next coming whatsoever, but what he is he is a great example of another undrafted player from Austin P University that has began developing in this Stockton Kings system and learning places, learning spots on the court that he may find himself if he ends up in an NBA game. He's not going to be asked to score 35, 36 for the Kings. He's going to be asked to be in the corners. He's going to be asked to make the right play. He's going to be asked to see the floor, maybe bring the ball up, especially bring the ball up at times because this team is lacking for a point guard. So again, I go back to this play. This was a very impressive play. So that's a 6'4" guy, lefty, bringing it up. So for TT, congratulations on the 10-day contract. I love it. I am so happy that TT got that 10-day contract. Deserves it. Again, a guy that was in training camp with the Kings earlier this year, Mike Brown, pointed him out as somebody that had played very well in some of the scrimmages. So that's a little bit on Terry Taylor. I hope he's able to maybe get a minute or two during this 10-day stretch, but nothing else. He is going to get the experience of being with the team late in the season over the next 10 games. So very, very happy for him. I will post some of those videos to my social media as well. So happy for Mr. Taylor. As for last night, Zach LaVine, who had a pretty darn good game, talked about it. Here was Zach.
Dan, like you guys did tonight, getting off that 4-game losing skid, just how will that help you mentally in the next 6 games here?
Well, it's good. We had a really good attitude. Obviously, we didn't play well on that road. We let a couple games slip away from us and some ugly games as well. So, we regrouped, had a really good day yesterday. Obviously, that carried into the day. So let's just keep that going.
So a couple questions. Looks like maybe you were limping a little bit after taking a fall there. How are you feeling?
I rolled my ankle in the first quarter, but I'm fine. It happens every once in a while.
Cool. And then another efficient night for you. Kind of followed by, you've been pretty efficient recently, as all season too.
Yeah.
But yeah, how are you feeling offensively?
Yeah, like I've been feeling all year. Sharp, doing what's needed. Obviously, just reading the defense. And today we had a collective effort. We had so many guys that were scoring. We had 3 guys with 20, a couple other guys past 10. Pretty looked like everybody scored or most of got in the game. So we did a great job. Jake with his little revenge game, it was incredible. I can't say enough about the guys that how they played. So it was a full team effort.
You mentioned Jake there, but Devin and Trey also a lot of bench production tonight. How much do you feel like they added energy to
Everything that second unit really kickstarted. I think if it was late in the first, early second, they went in there and had the building rocking. Really jump started us, and that just carried over throughout the rest of the game. So those guys, hats off to those guys because that's what we need sometimes.
Malik was talking yesterday about that he had to be better, and today he was near exceptional. What was your thoughts about his play tonight?
Malik is really good, and obviously with us coming together as a unit, it's going to take time. I think everybody wants it to happen so fast. Obviously, after All-Star break, we're pushing for the playoffs, but you got to sometimes figure out what doesn't work before you find out what does. So, Malik keeps playing like the way he does, we're going to be just fine.
Zach, what were your
the biggest thing about this Kings team and their shooting? The single biggest thing is the passing. If this Kings team can make strong, crisp passes in places where guys want to catch the basketball and can shoot the basketball immediately, that's when they shoot their best percentages. You saw a little bit more of it last night. You've seen it over the last couple weeks with Keegan Murray, which has been really important as well. So I think that plays into his elite shooting as well. He does not, it bears out in the stats. He is a much better catch and shooter than he is off the dribble. And I know he likes to do that step back, but you hit Zach LaVine right here in the shooting pocket, more times than not, that basketball's going in. Okay, I had to do a ton of Google searching when that went into the chat. What are you talking about? Rip Joe Rogan? What's going on? It doesn't say that he's dead. Are we killing people here now on the King's Court? I don't want to take away your ability to participate.
No. You have lost your time to talk.
But I might have to if you're coming in here dropping fake news like that. Daniel just got here. What time? What's the timetable? We do not know yet. We do not know. Still waiting. Is the consensus to blow it up this offseason? It's a question I asked yesterday, and I do not listen to other programs here in town, with one exception. I listen to one segment a week, which is Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross's segment with Sam Amick. So I do listen to that one. I greatly respect Dave, Jason, great guys, great product. And I know there has been a narrative within their show where it seems like more fans do want to burn it down. We've talked about basketball purgatory here on this show for at least 3 or 4 weeks now. So I don't know if I'm a fan of it. I don't know what it looks like, because here's what I don't want to do. And no disrespect to Monty McNair, if you're doing a full rebuild, I want to do a full rebuild with a different GM. I want a different set of eyes on the situation. So I think with a full rebuild comes a different administration and probably a different coach as well. I sure as hell hope not, DSC. It seems like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it is a Monty, or excuse me, a Vivek thing, because De'Aaron Fox, right there in the middle. He's a scoring guard, not really a point guard. And then with the Kings draft picks, we've gone over this ad nauseum. Davion. Davion is not a point guard, not a two guard. Devin Carter, not a point guard, not a two guard. It's something I want to look more into. That's for sure. Like, is there something more to, is there something coming out of the analytics office or the analytics machine that's saying it is better to play without a point guard? Because what I can tell you is most successful teams in the NBA, they've got at least two of them. You know, think about Boston, Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. Think about, and this is not as great of an example, but think about Milwaukee. Think about, this is a good one, Indiana. But Hallie's not really a true point guard. But TJ McConnell behind him. Josh Hart in New York. Those types of guys. Hell, Austin Reeves has really made a big jump as of late. So anyways, sorry, didn't... Sorry, don't mean to spread false rumors. Just read that comment when I logged on. Yeah, I'm like, what's going on? I don't see anything about him being dead. I mean, that would be massive news. I mean, would the internet just... I wouldn't say the internet would break if that happened, but he's definitely the most popular podcaster. There'd be a lot of... If Joe Rogan was no more, that's for sure. A lot of that. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. I want to get your take on this really quick, and then we're going to wrap up the show. I got two more things that I want to get to before we wrap up, but I want to get to this first. You know how some people hit that just different level of fame? Just a completely different level. I'm going to give you an example, and let's not turn this into a side conversation. I am giving you a pure example of fame, not everything else that this person may or may not have done and the way they live their life. But Michael Jackson, for my generation, Michael Jackson could not go anywhere without being mobbed. Like, people passing out at his feet, crying at the sight of him, right? Everybody knew Michael Jackson. So when Michael Jackson died, the internet exploded. Like, think about another time that a famous person that you can remember recently passed away, and the entire world visibly went into mourning. Like, you would see shots from every different big city in the world, and there were tributes going up to him. You had the entire world watching his memorial ceremony. Who is that person right now? Like, who is the most recognizable, most famous like, who is the closest to that Michael Jackson status? Here's the names that I've been given: Taylor Swift, The Rock, and I'm going to leave political figures out of it. Let's leave political figures out of it, because that's kind of that's a cheap pop. That's too easy. If you're leading the biggest and most important nation in the world, you know what? That's a good one. That is a good one. Kobe Bryant. That is a very good one. Yeah, I see, BJ. I'm going to leave that one out, but I get it. I see. I don't. Is Taylor Swift close to MJ at this point? Are we getting there? Or was MJ just different? I think MJ was just different. Like, if something happened to Michael Jordan, I don't think you'd see the same response that you saw to Michael Jackson. Kobe's response was very overwhelming. No doubt. Taylor, and I don't want anything to happen to any of these people, obviously, but I'm curious about it. Maybe it is Taylor. I'm kind of with Adam. I don't know that anybody will ever be on that level. You know, Elton John. Okay, I could see Elton John. See, it's an interesting conversation. John, no way. Too small. Too small. Didn't transcend. What has Ozzy Osbourne done for charity? What's his humanitarian efforts been? Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. Again, okay. Okay, good point. But Prince was nothing like Michael Jackson. The response to Michael Jackson's was like 10 times more. Right? Agree? Disagree? Yeah, that's a good point too. Because of the internet. It's a good point. It's a damn good point. It's a good point. And think about this, your options for entertainment were so much different back then. Like you were buying CDs or records. You were maybe going to the movie theater. And you had a TV that was either black or white or color. Like those were your options. And Michael Jackson was on all three of them. Body of work over time, yeah. Everything, yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, I don't know what Ozzy has done for charity. Yeah, either do I. Michael Jordan, yeah. I don't know that Michael will get the same response. And here was the other thing. It wasn't okay. For Michael Jackson, like if Taylor Swift passed away, I'm pretty sure like I could confidently predict that you would see the majority of the people mourning being from like ages 9 to 34 or 40. When Michael Jackson passed away, it was like young, old, middle-aged. It was everyone. Yeah, Kenny Bean, not putting that one up. Yeah, no. I don't know about that, John. Elvis, but I don't remember Elvis. I don't remember that passing. So, anyways, it's an interesting question. I got into the debate with some of my friends, and I thought Taylor Swift might be the closest one, but I think Adam hits the nail on the head. I just think it's MJ, and then there's going to be different steps. Michael Jackson, and then everybody else. I mean, it was. Some of you would have said OJ. That went by pretty quietly, unless you're listening to Jim Rome. And in that case, there was like a Juice Miss week. Anyways, all right, let's finish show on a couple of strong notes, a couple of other stories that I want to get to, and then we are out of here. Don't forget, Grant, 8 o'clock tonight, open forum. I may or may not be joining Mr. Napier tonight. I asked him, by the way, we got some good stories out of Grant last night. If you didn't watch the post-game show, go check that out. His nickname was supposed to be Nippers because his brother was called Napes. And then Napes ended up sticking for him too. That was a good story. But yeah, check him out. 8 o'clock tonight. Looking forward to having Grant on the channel. And I may or may not join him, but regardless, come join him. It'll be a fun show. Don't forget about our friends at Bennett's. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Prime cuts of seafood and steak. Love the specials. Not sure if you made it down yesterday for corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day, but not to worry. Plenty of good specials left this week, including happy hour 2 to 6 o'clock, weekend brunch. By the way, Mother's Day coming up, y'all. Not too early to make those reservations. Mom will not be disappointed. By the way, the brunch special, 2 entrees, bottle of champagne, under $60. I believe it's $55. Like, you want to impress mom? Take her to Bennett's. Do that. Don't let her see the bill. She's gonna be like, dude, like, honey, what are you doing? Illegal activities? How do you afford this? Like, this is way too nice, honey. No, Bennett's just has that great of deals and that great of food and ambiance. So go to bennettsrestaurants.com. You can make the reservations there, view all the menus, all the different specials, and the incredible food as well. I'd do anything for that New York down in the corner. Also a great dish that they have called the blackened redfish. The fish is not red like Grant's hair, but it is phenomenal. It's a type of fish that you don't usually see on the menus here in Northern California. Bennett's does it right. 3 locations here in the greater Sacramento area: Rockland, Roseville, Howe, and Fair Oaks. Again, bennettsrestaurants.com. Thanks for rocking and rolling with me here on a Tuesday. Kings Cavs tomorrow. We await word on Domantas Sabonis and a timeline for him and his ankle. Couple of last things that I want to get to before we dismiss on a little bit of a lighter note. Really weird night last night in New York City, or a couple of nights ago in New York City. Let me take you back to a game here in Sacramento not too long ago.
As you see the crew wiping it up, cleaning it up. Got to make sure it's safe. But this is a critical point here. 9:32 left to go.
You had a 4-point deficit heading into the fourth quarter, and in very quick succession.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a delay here. I don't know if they're escorting somebody out of here. 14-point ball game.
Anybody remember what that was? Anybody remember? By the way, the NASA astronauts have finally returned home. Good for them. Awesome. That's real news. Getting back to the story, famous comedian Tracy Morgan was sitting courtside at the New York Knicks game, and he had a reversal of fortune, which ended up causing a 10-minute delay in the game. Tracy was taken to the hospital, turned out to be food poisoning. He has put up since a picture online of him in the hospital, but Morgan vomited in the second half of Monday night's Heat Knicks game, interrupting the action at Madison Square Garden with 6:09 left in the third quarter while workers cleaned up the area around his seat. The delay lasted more than 10 minutes. The Knicks went on to win 116-95. Glad Tracy is feeling better. Oh, that's
terrible.
Could you imagine, man? Just okay, if you're not feeling good, right? You want to make sure that you have outs, right? Like, you want to make sure that, like, if you need to get to a restroom, there's one that's not too far away. But then sometimes, like, it'll just come over you. And then when you come to the realization that you don't have a restroom anywhere around you, that just makes it, like, that much worse, the anxiety of it. And then to have that happen in front of 80 or 18,000 people. Poor Tracy Morgan, man. And he's been through a hell of a lot with health issues. He was in that really bad accident, but I feel for him. That stinks, man. We were in well, I was in college, and my parents decided that they were going to take my brother to Disneyland, and I went to, for those that don't know, went to school at San Diego State. And I said, all right, I'll meet you guys up at Disneyland for a day or two. And that morning that I was supposed to be driving to Disneyland, my knee flared up. This is when I was still playing basketball. And I had to have my knee drained. Well, along with having my knee drained came pain medication. And I was one of those people that did not usually like to take the medication. I almost rarely took the medication, but they said they would not do the procedure if I did not take the medication because I was going to be up. So I took the medication. No big deal, right? Didn't think it was a big deal. Chill out for a couple hours, drive to Anaheim. It's like an hour 15 from San Diego. Get to the hotel, hanging with my dad, hanging with my mom, my brother, who is 11 years younger than me. So we get some Quiznos sandwiches. Yeah, Quiznos, right? Quiznos sandwiches. And we had a couple of Captain and Cokes. Feeling no pain, right? And we head into the park, and the first ride that we go to get on is Pirates of the Caribbean. We are halfway through the line, and all of the sudden, the walls feel like they are closing in on me. My head is spinning. I don't know what's going on. It was the worst nausea I had ever felt in my life. And so, if any of you have ever seen Old School, I was pushing kids out of the way to get out of the line. Like I'm walking the opposite way of the line. And somehow I made it back to the hotel, but I didn't make it back into the hotel. I made it into the hotel bushes. I fell asleep in the hotel bushes. That's how sick I was. So we don't know to this day if it was just a bad day and a bad decision and just a lot going on, or if it was the guacamole on the Quiznos. But it was scary, number one. And number two, that's why I feel for Tracy Morgan. I've felt that before because I'm looking around. I'm like, where's a bathroom? There isn't one. I'm not going to have a reversal right here in line at Pirates of the Caribbean. So, yes, Tracy, man, I feel for you. All good. Much different situation than the Kings fan that decided to partake in too many adult beverages. No, I wasn't hungover. No, I just had a Captain and Coke and a sandwich. That's all I had. The only thing that I can think of was, and I don't think it was the sandwich because it wouldn't have happened that quick. Food poisoning is usually like 6 to 8 hours afterwards. I think it's because I took pain medication before my procedure and then I drank later in the day, which was the no-no. And somehow those two interacted. That's what I think happened. Nice. Rhino throwing up in the bush is better than none. Right. Yeah, right. Did have a crowd at EDC in my younger stupid days. EDC. Interesting, Matthew. My wife used to want to go to that. Dehydration. Yes, dehydration can do it to you. All right, final story. We're wrapping up. Last night, Houston and the 76ers on a full out tank mode right now. Everybody seems to be out, yet they got a 25-point lead last night over Houston. What the hell is going on? There was no energy in the building whatsoever in Houston. Then, guess what happens? A fan steps up during a timeout, hits a half-court shot for $25,000. The arena starts getting a little energy. They're getting jacked. They're getting a little bit more excited. The team starts playing better. Then, later in the game, during another timeout, there was another promotional game for Whataburger, where there is a fan that is chosen at random or what. Actually, I'm going to be real with you. These fans aren't chosen by random. They filter through the season ticket holders. That's what they do. or it's a friend of somebody that works for the team. That's how you get chosen for these things. So anyways, now that you've had your moment of honesty with Rhino, then toe on the line didn't count. Yeah, well, it wasn't DeMar shooting it. So there you go. Hey, we've seen worse things. What about Charlotte ripping the was it the PS5 from the kid after he got off the court and then giving him a couple of jerseys instead? So anyways, energy building, basketball getting a little bit better. This Whataburger promotion begins, and this lady has to throw this inflatable red fry into a fry holder. And there's a decent amount of distance between her and the fry holder. If she makes it, she gets Whataburger for a year. She freaking nailed it. Boom! Momentum. Over the top. How did I say it wrong? Whataburger? Whataburger? Is that what I was supposed to say, Adam? Whataburger? All right. Anyways, momentum over the top changes the basketball game, changes the energy. The Houston Rockets come back from 25 down, a franchise record, and beat the 76ers last night with a big assist from the fans who stepped up during the timeouts to get the crowd freaking fired up. How about that? 2 big giveaways in one night gets the team a W as well. So all good stuff there. I thought that was a fun little story. Anyways, been a good show. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Excited for Terry Taylor getting some time. Okay, if you want to tell me how to say it, call up here and tell me how to say it. Whataburger? Look, this is the only thing I know when it comes to burgers. Five Guys is a ripoff. You need to mortgage your house to eat at Five Guys. And by the way, they just throw the fries in a bag when I'm paying for like a bathroom renovation for a side of fries. That's a joke. Not how you say Whataburger. You know who else has a good burger? Bennett's. Bennett's has a really good burger. All right, we're out. Make sure you come back 8 o'clock tonight. Napes will be joining you. I might or might not be here. We'll see. But either way, Grant will be here. Open forum, talking whatever you want to talk. NBA, NFL, anything else topical. And always, by the way, always taking questions about broadcasting, taking questions about different experiences. Grant loves talking that stuff, travel. So if you want to bring that stuff up, now is the time to do it, or tonight is the time to do it at 8 p.m. I am so glad that I got through with my dial-up internet today and my potato with an antenna in it. No issues and glitches. We love it. Don't forget, tomorrow, Kings Roundtable, 4 p.m., which means there's no Kings Court, and then we'll have full coverage of the Kings and the Cavs right here on the channel. Go Kings, light the damn beam. Hope you have a great rest of the afternoon. Join Grant back at 8 p.m. So long.